This is The Last Word.
All right, good evening. Well, they say if you kill a cockroach, you're a hero. But if you kill a butterfly, you're evil. Why? Well, that's because morals have aesthetic criteria. We have to include this in our context of the conversation tonight. Does Kenya have an alcoholism problem? And how do we even fix that from the negative effects that comes with alcoholism? But separate question, does overregulation even come close to help, or we simply as a nation are avoiding asking the correct question? Now, since alcohol is a fact of life, that's to mean there is no way to remove the production and sale of this on the face of the earth. What relationship then should we define ourselves within the alcohol context? So many questions, so very little time. As always, I'm joined on the set with my fellow panelists, Sharon Momani, a journalist of many years who has worked through her career to get very close to the story and bring us first-person accounts. Zaha Ndimuli, whose thoughts and opinions we value because she continues to help shape our discourse here and elsewhere in ever-growing, powerful ways. And Eric Latik, of course, TV host and journalist. You know of him, educative discussions, while he and his team in the morning continue to ask deep questions that help our understanding of this country. I'm James Smart. I help moderate this show that also has a live audience that you can see now. Well, we promise to leave here tonight having answered this very question, hopefully satisfactorily. Does regulation solve the alcohol question in this country? This is The Last Word. Good evening and welcome everyone, and welcome to the program. We start usually with a minute or so of the thing that really hurts us, or the thing that we feel creates problems for us. Where do we feel we should start tonight? As always, with Sharon.
Okay. My hot button tonight has to do with our children and their safety online. We see it every day in our homes, in the society, our kids scrolling endlessly on their tablets, on their phones, and all of these things. And there has been a conversation that has been ongoing globally, not just here in the country, about how do we prevent them from accessing harmful content online. Now, a country far away from Kenya has set a precedent. Australia recently added YouTube to their social media ban for children under the age of 16. I'm saying added because in November 2024, they had enforced these social media bans on other platforms, including Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and all that. But YouTube had been left out because they had said, and YouTube had given this as a defense for itself as a platform, that it only hosts videos and it's not really a social media platform. But this has now been included in the ban in the country. Let's listen to the Prime Minister of Australia.
Importantly, following advice from the E-Safety Commissioner, young people under the age of 16 will not be able to have accounts on YouTube.
We are implementing these rules and this law on behalf of parents who want and deserve better protections for their kids online. We want kids to know who they are before platforms assume who they are, which is why I want to be clear about YouTube. The evidence cannot be ignored that 4 out of 10 Australian kids report that their most recent harm was on YouTube.
Now, the core of this is protecting children from access or getting into content that is harmful. And the question is, how effective really is this? What this law does, and it's important to talk about, you might ask why Australia, the digital world, exposes everyone to a digital space that is worldwide. But how effective is it really from protecting kids? What it's supposed to do? What it really does is simply enforcing a bypass and a verification of age online. Now, any smart child, as we know, can bypass this kind of law. It means simply lying about what your age is. But this is not entirely not progressive. It seeks to cure a problem. And why this is relevant even to us here in Kenya is because this is a real world in the modern space. Our children are accessible to a lot of things online. And the question is, how do we protect them? And one of the things that we need to do, and this has really caused a lot of uproar online, people talking about how effective this is. What truly matters is making the digital space safe. Another thing that really matters is that the question, do our kids have a right to be online? In this modern world, it is a modern right. So make it safe, maybe provide ways of, having lasting solutions and making sure that you can control the algorithms that then dictate the kind of content that your children are up to. It does not also mean that we can bypass the role of parenting. So a lot of questions there and a lot of things to ponder even here in Kenya because the whole world is watching. That's my hot point tonight. I'm Sharon Omanyi.
Fascinating, and perhaps a subject of a last word at some point.
Yeah.
It's such a huge topic. It deserves its own time.
Well, my hot button for today happens to be more of a caution, more of a shock, more of a saddening realization that we're having in this country. And as a food lover with a constitutional right to food security and quality food, is our food poisoning us in this country? And do we have systems that continuously affirm people to poison Kenyans every single day? But before I dive deep into that, let's listen to Boss Shule as she just dives into what exactly this issue has been about.
In the whole of North America, and they were burned in the whole entire Europe and the United Kingdom. And so they are not for use there. But because it's big business for them, and Africa is actually the market that they have now when it's banned in their countries, the law there said that you can continue to manufacture those products only for export, not for use in their own country, but for export to a country that allows it. But I always say to a country that's reckless and stupid enough to accept those products because they're killing their own people. And that's what's been happening in Kenya. I can say.
To a country that is reckless is where these products are found. And I want to take us into a mind hive. Agro-colonization in Africa still exists. And how does it do that? It looks at these type of products that are manufactured from their country of origin, that are banned in their country of origin, and they are exported to Africa because we are reckless enough to accept them. And we are reckless enough to have the Pest Controls Board not look into these issues as they get into the country. That we can connect pesticide use in this country to the rising cases of cancer in high agricultural areas. So the question becomes, does the government predominantly want to kill its citizens by allowing these products to get into our farms? Are we choosing to poison this population? Because it's not very difficult for you to look into what enters this country. We have export boards, we have poisons boards, we have so many boards. All of you civil servants, how is it that we have farmers in Meru, farmers in Naivasha, saying that they are dying of cancer due to exposure to these harmful carcinogens? How are we allowing forever chemicals in our food that strictly goes to the food chain within this country to feed this population unless we are affirming the death of our citizens? That is my hot button. And certainly not only mine, but for everyone who consumes food in a day. You are being poisoned until the government decides otherwise. That is my hot button of today. My name is Zaha Ndimuli.
It's burning.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not hot. That's more than hot. It's molten, and I think it's always good when you bring out such issues that way. And thank you, Zaha. Mine is a bit of a more positive note. Today, I'm issuing bouquets and barbs. You know what they say? Mgala muue, lakini haki yake mpe. This administration today receives some bouquets from me. On the 9th of October 2023, the cabinet sat and the cabinet approved a dream by Kenya to host and co-host the CHAN 2024 alongside Uganda and Tanzania as part of a bigger bid to host AFCON in 2027. And of course, the naysayers were many and they said, this is not going to happen. They went ahead to start renovating. They renovated the Moi International Sports Stadium, Kasarani, giving it more seating capacity. No, reducing the seats, but making it more comfortable, designated seats, putting a roof canopy, CCTVs, better facilities and all. Nyayo Stadium as well. And they started constructing other facilities. And what we saw is that this weekend, CHAN came to Nairobi, alongside Uganda and Tanzania, of course, but we concentrate on Nairobi. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that something that was just a dream just 2 years ago has actually come to pass, and we've made it happen. If we could do it, then we can do it even for bigger and greater things. Now, here are the barbs. How much communication has there been to make there be a lot of awareness across the country that we have such a big tournament happening in this country? Have you seen many billboards? Have you seen much of marketing? Have you seen much communication? Do you know where to buy your tickets? Do you know at what point the gates will open, the gates will close? Do you know what games are being played today, where? Do you know what games are being played tomorrow? Do you know when Harambee Stars is playing? And so on and so forth. People are having to find out these things as they go. How much work is being done by government to promote this? This is where the barbs are going. Not much effort has been done in communicating this good thing. Sports is a unifier in this country. Sports, and especially football, is something that is so big that we can actually just use this moment and opportunity to exhale as a country, rally behind Harambee Stars, and even watch all these other African teams that come to Kenya, and it could help us. It's cathartic. What have we done about it? Bouquets for organizing, barbs for poor communication. That's my hot button. I'm Eric Latif.
All right, fantastic. I mean,
Barbs as in barbed wire?
Exactly. I mean, almost offering Harambee Stars 300 million for winning CHAN.
Well,
if they can, because everyone is offering them money. Well, my simply Barbs, sticking with Latif's point of view. Let me just give you, listen to this clip of the greatest man alive, Kimani Ichung'wah, who's also the majority leader, and what he has to say this week. Just listen to him before I tell you what I have to say next.
Jana nimeona mwingine alikuwa Chief Justice wa Kenya. Ati anauliza watu kwa madharau, ati ukipata 1,000 itakusaidia na nini? Nyinyi watu ambao mkipata 1,000 inawasaidianga? Inawasaidia, haiwasaidii. Wacha 1,000, 500 itakusaidia, haitakusaidia. Ndio tunaambia, umekuwa kiongozi kwa serikali miaka 50, umekuwa Chief Justice wa Kenya, umepata mshahara na pia unatafuta kiti cha urais. Sasa unasema hautaki Profesa Kindiki na sisi tufanye empowerment, lakini wewe mwenyewe ile kazi unatafuta ya urais unaambia Wakenya ati wakuchangie 200 ama 500 upate pesa ya kufanya kampeni. Sisi tunasema tufanye empowerment ya viongozi ama ya wananchi. Tuendelee na hiyo wananchi? Tuendelee ama tusiendelee?
Great. So if you didn't get it, this is what Kimani Ichung'wah says, that these empowerment drives that he and the likes of other government-leaning politicians have been doing, basically going across the country, giving 500 or 1,000 shillings, calling it empowerment drives, is exactly the only means and the best way possible to deal with poverty and lift people out of poverty. In essence, this is what he says, that it's better for government officials to show up and offer you 500 bob and 1,000 bob constantly, because that is development. That's the first part of his argument. That's also telling, in my estimation, why politicians really celebrate poverty. The idea that the politicians to show up to give you 500,000 bob and we are able to constantly say that this is empowerment, that is simply insulting. But the second part of his argument is even more insulting. He says that the former Chief Justice, David Maraga, who's declared that he's running for presidency, that for 50 years, he's never stolen enough to run a presidential campaign, is actually an insulting thing to him. Instead of saying, this is someone who has spent 50 years in government and hasn't stolen, he actually celebrates the opposite. I really think that we should have a moment with our political class, just, without any mediation, in a room where we can have an honest discussion and see if this argument of them trying to make sure that everyone is poor so that everyone can get 1,000 bob of fire from them, or that people who have been in government and haven't stolen have really failed in life. That's my hot button for the day. But we do have a live audience. Let me start with the lady on the left. Your name and what's the thing that really, really has been your hot button for the issue for this week? Sorry.
Thank you so much. My name is Winfreda Siko Abuti. I am a youth leader from Kakamega County. My hot button today is the political class, both the opposition and the government, exercising political tolerance. We have seen, according to the Kenyan Constitution, Chapter 17, a youth is someone who's below 35 years and is above 18. And this group of people have been advocating for good governance in this country for quite some time. And what we have seen is the police and the youth are rubbing shoulders throughout, day in, day out, whenever there have been demonstrations. So, we have seen that most of the youth are being abducted, some are being arrested for no reasons and all that. So my big question tonight is there tolerance, political tolerance between the opposition and the government and the youth and also the political class? Because you see, we have seen Cleophas Malala, who's the deputy party leader of DCP party, has been summoned by the DCI this week, and his main issue is because he landed with a chopper during the Kenya School Secondary Games in Mumias. So the big question is, we have seen several people landing with choppers in different areas. What mistake has he done?
What mistake has he done?
Yes.
That's your big question this week.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's a big question. We should deal with it. Do we have another hot button on this side? Please, sir, stand up. Your name and what is your hot issue?
Stand up.
Tia.
Please stand.
Thank you very much, James and Eric at the panel. My name is Riongo Goko. I'm a public policy expert and at the same time an investor in the hospitality industry, running a liquor outlet in Kirinyaga County, MG Bistro, Kibingoti, between Sagana and Karatina Highway. The big question of the day is I can highlight 2 or 3 things with your authority. Number one, let's all celebrate that Harambee Stars
Can
won.
I just have one?
Yes.
What is your hot button this week?
Okay, my hot button.
Yes.
My hot button is the NACADA policy and what they are proposing against what needs to be done.
That is our topic for the day. Do you have anything else that has disturbed you?
That has disturbed me?
Yes.
One thing that have really disturbed me in the course of the week is how far are we willing to separate politics and nationalhood? How far are we willing to separate the law versus sovereignty? And how much are we willing to go as a country to separate individual interest vis-a-vis nationalhood? And how much are we willing as Kenyans to tell off politicians with politics against individuals and sovereignty? As a nation, as people, and as our nationalhood, how much are we willing to wake up and say, you are a politician, yes, Kenya is a democratic state, but that does not mean that democracy must override the sovereignty of our nationalhood.
Okay, all right. You also didn't warn me that you're a philosopher, so I have to think about the philosophical concepts and interact with them and have an answer for you. Thank you very much, good sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Yes.
That's beautiful. It's about our sovereignty.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah. Sitasimama maovu. That's basically what he's just saying. Right? Time for us now to go into the NTV fact check. And you know what we do in this segment? This is where we ask ourselves, so how do we know what is real from fake? How do we know whether what we see is actually the truth what we read is the truth or it's fake? Now, this is a question that we have to keep asking ourselves every week. And today, I want to do something. And this is, we're going to play a video. And when that video plays, if you think that that video that you're going to see is real, you shall raise your flag up high, green. If you think it's fake, you shall show us the red one, which is fake. Now, please hold your flags. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, now we're going to take a look at this video. You know this person very well. Well, if you live in this country and you've been here for at least more than a week, you know this person very well. You know how they sound. And if you take a look at this, you'll tell me whether this is real or fake. Let's play the video.
Here in Kenya, and I am drunk with power. I think I'm untouchable. I am just too excited with power and money. I never wanted to be a cabinet secretary. I agree, I must go.
Real or fake? Real or fake? Red, red, red. I see some greens. Now, because there's some greens there, there's some two greens. Please pass the mic to one of the persons who had a green. And let's hear. Tell us your name. Please stand up and tell us your name and why you believe that that video is actually real.
Thank you so much. My name is Joe Gola, and I'm a psychologist. So from what we can see, that is exactly what he means. So to some extent, that is what is going on currently. So yeah, thank you.
So you think that's what he said, or you think that's what he should say?
That is the exact thing that we're witnessing right now. So yeah.
All right. And the other person there, almost next to you, who had a green. Who else had a green? Please stand up. Tell us your name and why you think that video is real.
My name is Edmond Otieno, a second-year student at Maseno University. The video we've just seen played on there, it should be real from the perspective of whatever is happening and whatever the character is portraying when it comes to national leadership experience or whatever we are seeing from the individual that we've seen there. Though it can be scripted, but when it comes to logic and thinking and proper analyzing, it should be realistic.
So, somebody who is a psychologist and also Mr. Otieno who's looking at it and they think that can only be real. Somebody here had a green. Let's hear from a green person. Red. Do you have the mic? Take a mic. Please stand up, tell us your name and why you voted red. Why do you think that video is not real?
My name is Ronnie. I'm from Ruiru, Kamakis. And I voted red because when you look at the mouth of the CS of Interior, you can see like there's some scripted or some things which have been modified a bit. So I think it is not real.
Very well. First to the lady behind you.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Parel from Thika. And I also represent Identity Nieto as seen from the whole that I'm dressing. That video is fake because, you know, we say technology. I think it was...
Technology.
Exactly, that's the point. I think it was just edited because that is a leader whom we all look up to, and I don't think he can utter such words.
You don't think he can say he deserves it?
He may not say it. The point is, he may not say, but he is. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Now, we shall just come to debunk that video. Now, number one, all those that had, of course, read, that's a fake video. It's been AI doctored. And one of the things that you've just said, if you look at his mouth, you can clearly see that this is not the actual mouth of the cabinet secretary, right? It's been doctored. What we see on the side is a photo that Kipchumba Murkomen posted on his Facebook page, and this was on the 11th of July when he went before the Senate to talk about the death in custody of Mr. Ojwang, all right, Albert Ojwang. So this happened on the 11th, and then somebody went and took that and used another video, and the video of the day that he appeared, and they were basically just doctoring it, right? So you can clearly see, just from that, it's fake. And the other thing that we always say, how do you tell that it's fake? Use logic. Is it logical that actually Kipchumba Murkomen went to the Senate and said he believes he does not deserve the seat, the position that he's occupying, that he believes he should quit, but you didn't see it anywhere else, and he didn't quit? Is it logical? It's not logical. And that's how we do our NTV fact check. Always use your logic, and then also use AI tools to decipher what's real, what's fake. Coming up to our topic for tonight, which is regulation the solution to Kenya's alcoholic problem? Now, I'd like you to use the same. Tell us yes or no. Yes, green, no, red. Is regulation the solution to Kenya's alcoholic problem? Right, let's see. Vote now. Let's go. Red? No? Yes? Use your flag, but not speaking. You don't have a flag. Raise. Yes? No? Yes? Is regulation the solution? We've got some reds. We've got some. We'll take a break. When you come back, we delve right into that. We are on The Last Word. This is what we're doing this evening. Back in a moment.
Welcome back to The Last Word. Now, to the real last word, and the reason why we gather here tonight. Does regulation solve the alcoholic question in this country? Such an important question, because just in the past few days, NACADA released a policy framework that introduced a couple of rules, and it caused an uproar in the country. Part of it is increasing the minimum age from 18 to 21. Some people say, well, that is infantilizing the country. Why would you even do that? There are questions around where to sell alcohol, restrict it. And the whole point was, look, we have an alcoholic problem in this country. The stats tell us, they show us that most young people are getting addicted. We perhaps don't have a very good relationship with alcohol, and that's a big problem. So the government does what does best, comes with a big stick to make sure that the people toe the line. That's where we are with this alcoholic problem, or the question, and how to regularize it. So this is how we'll set it up tonight. It's a big question. It has different facets of it. The stats say that 1 in 20 Kenyans are addicted to alcohol. 1 in 30 Kenyans are addicted to tobacco. 1 in 111 Kenyans are addicted to cannabis. We have an addiction problem in the country, as you can see. The source is the National Campaign Against Drug Abuse. The stats also tell us that more young people are getting addicted to alcohol much earlier than before. So something has changed, for sure. What is it? But how do we fix that problem? Ladies, gentlemen, where do we start eating this elephant from?
I think we need to know how much of a problem is it. Have we experienced it close to us, in our families, in our communities? And where's the crux of the problem? Is it the access issue? Are there underlying problems that maybe we are trying to band-aid ourselves out of? There is a problem, for sure, if those stats are anything to go by. But what is taking us there? I think we need to start from there.
What is the problem? Because we say, okay, is it the answer to our problem? What's the problem? Is the problem consumption? Is the problem accessing it? Is that a problem in by or and of itself?
Well, one of the stats that stood out for me, Eric, is that at least 40%, about 40% of the people who are currently consuming alcohol in the country are addicted. that's about half, just close to half of the people who are using alcohol in the country are addicted. That means you're not using it for recreative purposes or just for small enjoyments, you know? But you are addicted. You're using it because your body is asking for it. You're dependent on it. So what leads us there?
I think there's a very interesting question that comes up. And in my workspace, I work with our demographic that is basically mostly addicted. And we have to look at the fact that alcohol being a sedative, it's not everybody that is actually choosing to drink because they want to. It's a coping mechanism. We're in a country that has so many underlying factors that are very critical in us saying, do we want a country that doesn't drink, or do we want a country that we can control? Because again, this is not the first law that is being, or the first restrictions that are being pushed to control alcohol. And it's the same idea. When you enter a criminal's mind, crime is very addictive because it's very rare, it's very scarce, right? It's difficult to go through. When we put in the laws of restriction, the whole idea that things are difficult to get, like cannabis, keeps you very contained in the same. But again, what are these young people running from? What are we trying to save ourselves from? Because I think a majority of young people are drinking because the socioeconomic issues that burden them are beyond their own thought, they're beyond their cure. So alcohol becomes like a band-aid to a problem you literally are pushed to the edge you can't solve. So as much as the bigger problem is, of course, we're having a country that is literally high cousins. What exactly are Kenyans running away from? They're running away from their lived experience that is impossible to bear at the same time.
All right. So we're still setting this up, but we do have NACADA in the house, so we don't have to guess. This is the good part, all right? I do have Lele Kirwa, Deputy Director, Planning and Performance Management. Please give the gentleman the microphone on the front here. And, you know, just to set it up, why did NACADA think about, you know, these very restrictive laws? Because now we know their policies and they're very restrictive. And what exactly were you reacting to? If you can help us answer that question, to help us, all of us, just open up and see things from the perspective of NACADA.
Thank you so much. I think my work will be very easier because I like the first video that talked about regulations of YouTube in Australia. Why are they restricting? Are there no laws in Australia that restrict the engagement, the online engagement? That's a very fundamental question. Two, socioeconomic problems are there. But is alcohol a solution to socioeconomic problems?
There's a resounding yes.
Yeah. The good thing, the good thing, we have a psychologist here. We have a psychiatric with us here, and we have somebody from the industry. When you look at, there is no overregulation because our law that operates now was passed in 2010. How many years now? 15 years. A lot has happened, a lot has transpired between 2010 to 2025. But going to statistics, based on our statistics, we did statistics in primary schools. And the primary school kids gave us alarming statistics, although the access to alcohol at that tender age is 7 years. Also, the prevalence of alcohol, the people who have used alcohol was 2.6%. So we didn't stop there. We went to, we say, okay, let's see how the problem is progressing. So we did another survey at the secondary schools. And at the secondary school level, there was an increase from now 2.6 to 3.8%. We went ahead, we did the national survey. The national survey, we did a survey for all the country. And the prevalence rate was 11.8%. We did again a study on the public sector. How is the public sector looking like? And the public sector, the prevalence rate is 23.8%. And the recent study that we did was the university study. The prevalence of alcohol and substance abuse in the universities. And that study gave us very good statistics to inform policy, because research should inform policy. 18.6% of our students at the universities have access to alcohol. 8% of them are addicted to alcohol. Accessibility of alcohol at the universities is at 87%. So world over, WHO has given us a raft of measures. We normally call them SAFER initiative, so that we protect the mental development of the young people. Our psychiatric here will tell us that the mental development of the young people goes up to mid-20s, right? If I'm not wrong, but that's the study. Then countries, comparative countries around in Africa, in the world is the US, which has done very well in terms of enforcement and the increase to 21 years of age. In Africa, we have Egypt, we have Ethiopia, we have Botswana. Botswana is doing very well. Egypt, Ethiopia, and Botswana are doing very well. South Africa is also doing very well. Uganda here has not has put proposals, but in Uganda, the ads, they have strict regulations on the ads on alcohol. When you go to our neighbors in Rwanda, which are within our purview here, they were able to reduce underage drinking by strict enforcement and community policing. So yes, we have a drinking problem. And even you know we've glamorized consumption of alcohol. Any event that we attend, any celebration we must attend, there must be alcohol.
May I push you back a little as you make this point, because I need to move on. You seem to suggest that more laws solves problems, right? That the more laws we put, the more problems disappear, right? So you're saying that US has done very well on the laws. Yes, they have, but they also have an enforcement thing. The issue we have in this country, and perhaps I put to you that the reason why Kenyans were reacting to the policies was not that didn't think that you had an alcoholism problem. They said that you are operating outside the context. So yes, something has changed between 2010, I think the NACADA laws, and now, all right?
Yes.
In the society, all right? The same way corruption has increased from 2010 to now, all right? A lot of societal ills have increased. So we're not operating in a vacuum per se. What Kenyans don't hear from you is what has changed socially that moves many people to take alcohol and abuse alcohol. Is you're not fixing that. You're coming up and saying the solution to all this problem is let's throw a book of laws at everyone. That is one. The second part is the enforcement, all right? The enforcement of NACADA laws has not even done 50%, okay? So I have a problem with enforcement. So how does NACADA come back and say, look, we have a problem with alcoholism, but also have a problem with enforcement, and this is how we suggest to solve this problem? A minute before I put someone else.
I think on enforcement, you know, the problem here is not only enforcement. It is a cultural and behavior and behavioral issues that we are dealing with. And we are not reacting to the socio-economic or anything else. What we are saying is we want to prevent access and availability.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the.
Let me bring in Eric Kiniti, the Secretary, Alcoholic Beverage Association of Kenya, back. What do you see the problem is, if you're talking about alcohol and access, right? What is the problem we are solving? Are we asking the right question, or we are going down the drain on sort of a question that has no answers?
So I think the main issue we are facing at the moment, and you put it rightly, is an enforcement issue. Like we've said, we have had this law for 15 years currently, the Alcoholics Drinking Contract, which was enacted in 2010. And I think if we were to approach any amendments to the law, we should be asking ourselves, What has that law done so far? Let's take stock of what have you achieved, where are the gaps, and what do we need to address. And I don't think we are doing that. Some of these things they're trying to bring in are not even new, because they talk about 300-meter rule. It's already in the law. It's not a new thing. They have talked about advertisements. We have not been advertising before 10 p.m. on any mainstream channel. They have talked about access to underage. There's a law already that says you'll be fined 500 shillings if you are selling someone who's underage. If they found children who are drinking under the age of 18, did they ask them, who sold you that alcohol? Did they arrest that person? Have they told us how many people have been prosecuted for selling to underage? Because that's when we start saying, actually, there's effectiveness in the law that's already in place. Adding more regulation is not the issue. The issue we have is enforcement. Secondly, we have an issue of illicit. Illicit, we conducted a study a few months ago as ABAC, using an organization called Monitor, it's an international research organization, which showed that 60% of alcohol sold in Kenya is illicit. And what we mean by illicit is alcohol where duty is not paid, so there is no tax collected by Kenyan government, where we have paid, duty is paid, but it's not paid the full amount, so you're paying less duty, so you're cheating the taxman. We have counterfeit products which are being sold, and you have other illicit products that are being sold in the market that no one even knows what they are. And that's a big issue. At the launch of this policy, because I was fortunate to attend, the CEO himself mentioned a few weeks ago when they attended a Jukwaa la Wananchi session, or the Jukwaa la Usalama session, in the presence of CS, they found sachets being sold in Baringo. Sachets were banned even before the Alcoholic Drink Control Act came into place. How are they getting to Baringo? Someone should be taking the flak and asking, how did these products get here? Sachets are not manufactured by any legal manufacturer in Kenya. Why are they being sold? Right. If we address that, then we'll be going to the crux of the matter.
Can I push you back on one thing? Yeah. Does the alcoholic industry, sale traders and all, do you have a responsibility on this sort of national problem that someone would say, well, we have a bit more addiction now, kids are accessing alcohol a bit more. We do have social media now. What is the responsibility of that space from where you sit?
So within ABAC, we have a marketing code which all our members adhere to. If you look at all the campaigns that we run, they always put a warning message. We have an age-gating mechanism, for example, even on our e-commerce channels, where you're supposed to put your age, indicate how much you're selling. We educate the people who do the last mile delivery, working with other partners, we work with the supermarkets, who are already doing that e-commerce space where they're delivering to consumers. And if they cannot deliver to someone who's underage, right, they have the responsibility also, because let's not take this to be a manufacturer's issue. We are all adults who are involved in this trade. A bar, you'll find bars have signage that says we do not sell alcohol to underage. You go to supermarkets, which this policy plans to ban sale in. They have a dedicated area where alcohol is sold, and that place is clearly marked. We do not sell to people underage in this space. So the issue we are raising with this policy is that the impact it's going to have on some of those jobs of people who have gone out of their way to be responsible. People who have gone away and done the right thing are going to be impacted for no reason at all. Right. And there's no justification as to why that is being targeted to them.
When we speak about going out of their way to be responsible, you yourself have called out the government on having laws that have not been effective. But is it enough to label the products? Is it enough to say that this is not a place that sells alcohol to under 18? Because, let's be honest, we've seen this happening. We know that you're not supposed to go to a bar and be sold to a drink when you're underage, but it happens. So responsibility, does it end at labeling? Do we actually see people, maybe it's the bars, whether it's the products, enforcing, being part of the enforcement of this? If you come, I don't know, if you use your judgment, whether this person looks young or, you know, there's some judgment criteria that comes in there that you actually take responsibility and ensure that this is not sold. Because there's one thing, it's one thing to label, it's another thing to actually make sure that you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Sharon, before you answer, because whatever I have to ask connects to that, I want to genuinely hear from you. Where is the line from manufacturers, brewers, your circle of people? Where is the line between profit and public health? When does the industry say we need profit? Yes, because understandably, it's generating 300+ billion to the government. But where is the line between making profit and public health? Where we are seeing addictions going up, when we're seeing people dying of liver cancer, do we then say the industry gives back to CSR and tells people not to drink, yet you're selling alcohol? You know, where is that line between profit and public health, connecting to Sharon's issue?
I'll start with Sharon's question. Yeah. And I think the responsibility for adhering to the current regulations are for everyone, every adult. If you find someone who is selling to an underage, actually NACADA has a hotline you can call and report that person. You can report that to the police because it's your responsibility as an adult to take care of the underage. And I think we should take ownership and a whole of society approach in terms of if something wrong is happening. The same thing we do with terrorism and all other crimes. You don't just sit back and say, it's not my business. You actually go out and take action and say, this bar is selling to underage, I'm going to report it, I'm going to record it, and have evidence that can be presented in a court of law to have the person who is doing the wrong thing being persecuted. On the issue of profits, I think all businesses are created to make profit, right? And I think there's a price to pay to that because we are already paying excise. And excise is a sin tax. Not all products have excise being charged on them. And it's because of the realization by the government that this product can cause harm. There's a cost that has been added to it, which is excise. Excise is a cost that's supposed to cater for that harm that is being caused by that. And to be honest, majority of Kenyans are consuming alcohol responsibly. Majority of them are.
All right. So I want to come to the psychiatrist, but before that, because I think he's going to be the arbiter here, you know, hopefully help us answer this question perfectly. But I want to hear from the audience, because what do we think is the problem here? Okay? Is the problem the consumption? Is the problem the government? Is the problem the moralizing of articles? Is the problem the ethics? What is the problem exactly? The lady there has a, do you have a microphone? Let's secretary to the microphone. The gent here on maroon, I believe. I'm colorblind. It might be purple. Please, your name and what do you think the problem is? Very quickly, help us set us this up.
Okay, Logo Alokwe, that is my name. The problem for me, I think it is enforcement. Because we Kenyans were very smart. We draft very good policies, but when it comes to enforcing them, it becomes a problem. Thus, having good constitution and lack constitutionalism. So for me, it is enforcement. We need to, when we enact these policies, we have to follow them to the latter.
So whose problem is it? If alcohol is freely accessible, you know, 10-year-old children can go and get, you know, whatever it is, whose problem is it?
First and foremost, alcohol is more accessible. From my childhood, I can tell that I started seeing alcohol at a tender age.
A very good
so
one.
For
Seeing,
me, I think it's
not use.
Also parenting.
Yes.
Yes. Parenting, and also when it comes to restrictions, we really need to look into the policies correctly.
All right. Yes. Someone else? Simple question. What do we think the problem is here? What should we be answering exactly? Your name, and please go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Naomi Misati, and I am convinced that the problem that we are facing in this republic mostly is that we are very theoretical and there's very little practice that goes into enforcing the laws that we have. He has stated a lot of policies that are very good, and he has backed his argument, and he has a lot of suggestions and what they have put in place, the policies that they have put in place, but they're not able to enforce this. And we have theories on how we should run this country. We have theories about what alcohol is, what cannabis is, what it does to the people of Kenya, and you know the systems currently.
Who should we blame? Do you think we have an alcoholic problem?
I think the blame lies on both sides of the coin. We really cannot blame them entirely, because we have our personal responsibility. Each individual is responsible for their own fate and their own decisions. But to a great extent, those who have been put in positions of responsibility are supposed to tell us which way. Okay. You cannot give us suggestions and do not enforce. We have a constitution that needs to be implemented. We have policies that need to be implemented.
Okay. The microphone to this side. The gentleman. Yes, please. Very quickly, please stand. Your name.
Okay.
Who should we blame? What's the problem with alcohol?
Thank you so much. My name is Otieno Collins, chairperson, Kibra University College and Students Alumni Association. And I can say that the policy is good. I've gone through it, and let me start by appreciating the fact that the health of the youth has been considered. That means that they really value the health of the youth. However, I strongly believe that when it comes to the real problem itself, it's not really well captured, because the real problem was to identify the root cause of that alcoholism. So by solving or by investing more resources on it, then I think
what's the root cause?
The root cause, like for somebody to get into alcoholism, maybe the person is stressed, depression, or maybe because of the social challenges that we are going through, or maybe from where I come from, you'll find that most youth they're actually idle, and there's a lot of peer pressure going here, left, right, and center. Why? Because they have so much time, very idle. So if maybe we can start by thinking and asking ourselves, how can we make these people to be more active? How can we create more opportunities for these people? How can we engage them in things that builds the nation? Then I think that can be a good start to solve the problem.
Okay.
The policies are good, but it's like the focus is more on treating the symptoms rather than the disease, treating the disease. Thank you.
Very well said. Pass the microphone, go back. Where's the microphone here? The lady on pink, please stand.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Oiremo Wanjero from Kiambaa Sub-County. Mine is to say that NACADA has made this law, but this is not the solution, because I believe this is an opportunity for corruption when it comes to the police officers. Most of them goes around every day at around 7 to 8 along the streets collecting money, and that means it won't change any, like when it comes to age, they won't change anything, and when it comes to hours of closing and opening of the bars, it won't change anything.
Okay.
Second, he has just said about the hotline of NACADA that you can call anytime, or you can call the police to come and arrest that person that is selling alcohol to underage. But let me say this, around November to December last year, we had a case at Kiambaa Sub-County where more than 5 youths died out of illicit blue. And I used to tag them with my friends, but they never did anything. Now I wonder, when I call on that hotline, will you be there to respond?
Okay. Wow. Let me get two more, because there's, yes, the lady, please stand.
Good evening. My name is Susan Wamboi, a trainee lawyer, University of Nairobi. However, the policies are really great, they're really good. However, it brings out a question. When you raise the age from 18 to 21, doesn't it violate Article 27 about equity and discrimination? If 18-year-olds can be married, tried in courts as adults, why can they drink as they're 21 years old? So that's just my question.
It's a fundamental question, right? An 18-year-old can vote, but they can't drink. Lele, I hope you're taking notes. You have a lot to answer. Okay? This gentleman looks like he's below 18. Just give it. I hope you're below 18, or over 18.
No, I'm not below 18. Okay, my name is Ronnie. I've worked in the alcoholic industry for like now 3 years. And I'll be very precise to NACADA.
Are you a brewer?
Yes. I'm a Gen Z.
Do not incriminate yourself, but please.
So, this goes to NACADA. One, we want to raise the alcohol drinking age from 18 to 21. So this one, you need to convince the government. People who need to get the ID should get it from the age of 21. Why? When I go to sell alcohol to someone, am I able to access his identification or anything? That's the first question. if I'm selling. So it will be so hard for me to sell to a person who is 21, yet maybe the guy is 19 years but looks like a 25-year. That's a question I'm asking NACADA. Number 2, I'm a salesperson in the alcohol industry. The NACADA hotline, it should be inflated in a, let me say, like the way we have emergency numbers when you lock your phone. I think it should be there permanent, so that if anyone who doesn't have the NACADA hotline has it there, accessible freely, instead of us telling us that there's NACADA helpline, which I don't know. Some of the clients don't know. Some of the people who are selling even don't know. What time will I take to go to NACADA, yet it is an emergency that I need to access NACADA? So that's a question.
Okay, so I want to finish this sequence. Yeah.
I'm curious, and because you've said you're in the service industry for alcohol, what do you think are the instances where it's an emergency to reach NACADA?
Sometimes, maybe in schools, after school, maybe when children close. Some travel from, let me say, Kitale to Nairobi. The time which they get in Nairobi is already late. They can access these bars, and they have their clothes, maybe their home clothes and anything. I think those are some of the instances that we really need to take care of them. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to finish this sequence by asking our psychiatrist who's been listening to everyone, as a good psychiatrist would do, so that then he can diagnose all our problems. Dr. Nyamiobo Joseph, who's the corporate psychiatrist at Chiromo Hospital Group. Are we asking the right question? Do we have an alcoholism problem? And if we do, what is it? Or the society is just not able to negotiate alcohol at all?
Okay, thank you very much. I think this is a multifactorial problem, to mean that there are very many factors. Number one is that, as they rightfully said, human development, especially brain development, ends at close to 25 years. So that is a medical issue. The government decides what time they say that it's legal to buy or not to buy. Us as stakeholders, we decide to give our opinion. Number two is that what he rightfully said is that close to 60% of alcohol that is sold is illicit brew. Illicit brew leads to death more than legal brew. Despite that, toxins are toxins. As doctors, our aim is to say that alcohol is a toxin, and whatever toxin is going to cause injury to the brain. If you're going to have toxins in your body, you'd rather have them later if you want to have them. However, we need to also understand that I need to convince you that there is a medical issue to this and a mental health issue. There's one of the participants who rightfully said that 85% actually of patients or people who use alcohol, they use it very okay. They don't have a problem with use of it. 15% of it use it problematically. Other studies say 10%, NACADA say 5 to 6%. This 5 to 6%, you will be interested to find out that 7% of them have alcohol use disorder as a primary disorder. 40% of these people have a psychotic illness, schizophrenia. 39% of people who use alcohol have a comorbid mental health problem. That is to mean that if we were to treat this mental health condition, we might find it easier to get rid of the alcohol use problem. That is the medical part of it. But that would mean that no treatment fits all. So no treatment for schizophrenia will be the same as treatment for people who have, let's say, for example, when you go to psychological issues, if someone was to be in, let's say, in Sudan and be involved in trauma and come back with PTSD, they'll use substances more. If someone would have a social issue, adjusting to changes in life, they would have an alcohol problem use. So if they're able to treat this primary problem, the secondary problem might be much, much easier to get rid of. Secondarily, the problem is now a government issue. To mean that I am a stakeholder in the government, they have their role to play as government, and their role is to regulate. And once they are able to regulate, they are able to tell us that the government can't tell you how many people to marry. They can't tell you how many children to marry. They can't tell you if you are in your house and you're not causing any problems, how much alcohol you can have. But if you have this much alcohol to cause an alcohol use disorder, Now it affects your body, it affects your liver, it affects everything else. So it needs all of us stakeholders to be involved in coming up with these policies and coming up with a wholesome answer.
I think from what I hear the doc saying is, number one, we've got to accept, and I think one of the things that our governments, previous government, this administration have failed to do is to openly acknowledge that we have a mental health issue in this country.
Exactly.
The government appointed a task force in 2020. It came back with a report and told them that 1 in every, how many are you? Just look around you. 1 in every 10 people in this country has a common mental disorder. This is a task force that was appointed by the Ministry of Health in 2020, came up with that. That for people who go to hospital, people attending routine outpatient services, 1 in every 4 is presenting with a diagnosable mental health condition. So you have a mental health issue in the country. And like the doc is saying, then now you put in alcohol, and some are wired in such a way that alcohol will not work with them well. Already we are predisposed because atuko sawa. Then now you come into the person whose wires are not very well wired, so they'll be affected by the alcohol. This is something we have to acknowledge. So I think when we come to say, do we have an alcohol problem in Kenya? Number one, there's that. Then number two, from Dr. Lele, we have an alcohol problem from the consumption side. Access to alcohol, especially to the younger population, primary school, secondary school, is very high. I'd like to know from Dr. Lele whether they asked how those children are actually accessing alcohol, who's giving the alcohol to them, and how, and who's introducing alcohol to them. But you come and respond. And then Eric Kiniti from the industry says that we have a problem on the supply side, that 60% of all the booze you're going to come across is illicit. But what is illicit? Illicit,
yeah, we have to define illicit.
Illicit here, he said, is illegal, contraband. Contraband is not licensed. Not licensed means that somebody has manufactured somewhere outside of the country proper booze brought in through Magendo and sold in Kenya without paying tax. True? The other illicit is somebody has gone and taken Eric's product, a container, gone and mixed their own thing, put it in Eric's container and sold it to you, pretending to be Eric's product. Okay? That's counterfeit. The other one is unlicensed traditional brews. I want to ask, so maybe we can reduce this 60% if we actually license traditional brews.
Yeah.
How do you regulate it? How do you?
Same way we regulate what they're making.
Because I think what as you've said, what gets it to that stark figure of 60% is there's a lot of this that's brewed in the houses, you know, and a lot of this we see in the villages, in informal settlements, especially as an economic venture. You know, there are so many people who've come out to give their stories of how they grew up. Their mom was able to take them to school, their aunties, their shoshos, because they were brewing changa in the house and all that. That makes for the statistics of illicit brew. I think one of the problem that we are facing, as I hear all of us speak, is that there's a lack of ownership. There's a lack of ownership of this problem. The sellers want to sell. The consumers want to consume. The producers want to produce. But then we have here a situation where the numbers are showing us the biggest problems is that we're not just drinking recreationally, but that there's a problem. You're drinking, and I think the doctor will maybe expound on this more, that when you have an addictive personality or you get to an addictive phase, it's because you are solving a problem. You are using this as an escape, as a numbing mechanism because of an underlying problem. So as much as it has to start from an ownership problem. And I want to use an example. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine who's half Malawian, half Swedish. And she told me about the case of Sweden, that in the 70s, they had a heavy alcoholism problem in the country. So much so, and what actually drew it to the attention of legislators was that then it caused a lot of suicide cases. A lot of suicide cases in that country was out of alcoholism, and of course then there are symptomatic issues. There are issues that then lead you to do that. And then came up with all these stringent legislative rules, including where you can sell it. It was only alcohol, state-owned liquor stores that could sell up to a certain percentage of alcohol. The supermarkets could only sell up to a certain, the beers and the ciders. And then this then had an inverse, kind of impact in the country that really didn't work. People then were hoarding. Wherever you can get it, you get it and you hoard it in your house. We've seen it even during the COVID era, yeah? You couldn't get out to go to the bars and all that, but what did people end up doing? When you get to the liquor store, you will take if you would buy ordinarily 1 bottle of whatever, then you hoard up to whatever your amount can allow, because you will say, hey, there's no access. But then you have it in the house, suddenly you have 5 where ordinarily you would have 1. Na unakunywa tu, you get, because it's right there. So we have that as a statistic, as a lived experience, that then in this country, what helped them was to look at the underlying issues. And they found that people were dealing with stress. There were mental health factors that, maybe, why am I numbing? Why am I escaping? And in this country, that's what we need to find out. There are glaring answers. Economic problems, lack of opportunities, people are numbing and escaping. And if we take that commitment, it takes a lot, is that you go back to the root of the problems.
And
that's how
right.
the Swedes
dealt with it. Okay, so
The Swedenese.
Okay,
Swedenese.
Before we create other things, I also do have a psychologist in the house, and I'd like to hear some personal experiences so that we really enrich this conversation. Please pass the microphone to the gentleman. Yes. I'm really interested in, in your perspective, professional point of view, to help us really unbundle this problem. What would you say is the question we are not answering, or what is the solution to the problem that we need to ask today?
Okay, so for me, I'll say one of the major problems is that we have a lack of engagement. Because the other day, the CS for Interior, he was speaking and he was criticizing the church for not speaking up to support the NACADA's policy. So we see there is a lack of engagement. And it's like we are debating between the good and the evil rather than the truth. So what is the truth? The truth is that for one to take alcohol, there has to be underlying issue. He talked and he said that we have to dig deep to the roots and understand why are children under the age of 18 or maybe under the age of 21 taking alcohol. So she talked about they want to numb the pain, and of which it's a dopamine effect. Yeah. And the dopamine, it wants to be satisfied. Yeah. And for that reason, they will go. But then again, what is the underlying issue for not just an 18, but when we go to the urban slums, for example, Mukuru, Kwanjenga, Kibra, or even Madare, you will meet a 7-year-old kid sniffing glue. So why is this kid sniffing glue? He wants to numb the pain. Why? The glue is 25 shillings. So it's either this child goes to buy food or to buy the glue. Yeah. So what will this kid do? He will go take the alcohol. Why? To numb the torture, to numb the stress, to numb the psychological or the or the physiological needs that he needs. Why? Because the glue can numb the pain for up to 2 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Up to 2 days. So this kid will decide, instead of me going to buy food that will last for only 6 hours, how about I go take the glue that will last for 2 days? For 2 days, I'm forgetting my problems.
All right.
And also, there is a lack of identity. So, in the lack of identity is where now social media comes in, the aspect of peer pressure. So, we begin to question our school systems as well. That to some extent, what are we being taught in school as life skills? Is it just a subject that Mwalimu wa maths will come and say, let's not teach it? So yeah, it's a dynamic that we are here debating about the good and the evil, and we are forgetting the truth. And the truth of the matter is that there are underlying issues to why someone will go take alcohol.
All right.
And that is what NACADA should address.
Right, so he brings up a very good point, the good, evil, and the truth in between. But I really want to understand from the room, do we have some really personal stories, yes, that could help us understand what pain are we trying to numb with alcohol, all right? What is the reality of this country that we're really trying? And I see some hands here, please. Please hand over the microphone. Please tell us your name.
My name is Richard Makori. I am a student at Chuka University. And to begin with, the pain that we are facing, for example, me as a comrade, you may find that my colleague student who's doing the same course as me, for example, me, I'm doing software engineering. Then him, with all that connections and everything, you get that he or she has gotten a job. And me, I'm here not having a job, you know? Now I'll have to cope with that peer pressure by doing what? By drinking. Now drinking will escape me from this reality that I don't have a job, and my friend doing the same course has a job. And perhaps, without fear of contradiction, I may say, this may be a move for diversion. What do I mean? In Kenya, Kenya is considered as a young population. Youth are the majority. Now putting these protocols and everything, the restrictions and everything, because it touches the youth, we have to talk about these things, right? That's why we are here. We are talking about it. Now we are forgetting that some people must go. Thank you.
Okay, just put the mic, give the mic to the lady just at the back. Let me finish this side. I'm going to come back that side. Let me finish with this side first. Let's make things out. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Faith. I'm from Rongai, and I have personal experience with a relative, actually my brother. So basically, the reason why these young people are taking alcohol or drugs, or are into drugs, is because the fact that one is the upbringing, the family aspect, whereby we find that most of the parents nowadays, they are going out drinking. The mother is drinking, the father is drinking, the child is left alone with the house help. So at that point, there is no proper upbringing from parenthood, whereby the only thing that the child sees is the whole week the parents are working, and during the weekend they are drunk. So there is no that parental advice like we got back when we were children and we were corrected in terms of upbringing. The second thing, like he said, is lack of job opportunities. The government, I blame the government also. And the reason I blame government bodies is because lack of employment, and so an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So they have to look for a way whereby they're going to get substances that calm their stress levels, that leads to crime, and they start now stealing things from the house, selling 1, 2, 3. At the end of the day, they find that they don't have anything. Right. So that's the kind of experience that I have.
Hand the microphone to, yes, the lady, and then I'm going to come to this side. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Grace Kamau, and I come from Roysambu constituency. I am a community convener. If you look at Roysambu constituency, I think it is one of the sub-counties that has the highest number of liquor stores and liquor shops. However, it is the same government that issues these licenses. So I also put some blame on the government. It is the one that passes the licensing on who to give and who not to give. On the issue of illicit, my friend from NACADA mentioned on the aspect of safety, aspect of counterfeit and not paying taxes. Have you ever asked yourself, what if the so-called illicit brew is much safer than the imported ones? Also talking as a part-time bartender, I happen to be an unpaid therapist to these young people. And when they come, I've learned something. There's a difference between being an addict and being conditioned. Now, mostly, bars are supposed to open from around 2 p.m. to late hours of 11. Now, you find that there's someone who will call me and tell me, I need a jug. We call it jug, right? I need a jug so that I can rejuvenate myself for the day. Then there's another one who will actually come around past the hours of the selling the illicit and be like, I am stressed out and I need a jug to relieve myself. So as much as we are saying that Kenya is a secular state, I think it's also a kind of an alcohol crazy state. Because we drink sometimes for no reason. Wow. As much as we drink it for enjoyment, we also lack the purpose of drinking it. But also, I'll also ask the church, what is the moral fabric of our society when it comes to alcohol? It was there before time. We came, we found, and we will leave it here. Thank you.
I want to ask a question to the lady. You said we are dealing with two issues. There is addiction and then there is conditioning. Yeah. What exactly is that conditioning?
When we talk of condition, I don't know if you've ever had Latif, kuna mtu haizi fanya kazi without having a taste of it. Now that person has to take a sip very early in the morning. And I've seen this actually with even the matatu drivers. And the first thing they do is that they just take a cup and a shot. And if you look at them, their face change and they become so happy. And the day goes so well. Now, when you are addicted, it is when you'll come in the middle of the night or when I'm closing up and you're telling me I have issues and I need to sit down here and drink and you're going to give me company. That's the difference.
Wow. I had one final question for you, leaning on your expertise, your professional expertise as part-time bartender. Would you say we have an alcoholic addiction problem, or we have a governance of alcohol problem?
I'll put it as both ends. We have an issue of governance because this is the same bodies that issue license anyhowly. And the moment you see an open bar, the moment you can access it, then it means it's available for you.
All right. Thank you. The microphone to this side, to the back, please. Give the microphone to the gents on the back, please.
Yeah, so my name is Clement from Juja. Yeah, so I will attribute the drinking. Yeah, I think we have a drinking problem in the country. First of all, we must acknowledge that. And I will attribute it to the stress and the kind of conditions that people are living in back in the village. I'll talk we have been talking from the perspective of the city. Let me take you back to the village now, where we have changa and the likes of alcohol worth as little as 20 shillings. So, speaking from what I have seen back in the village, some graduates, after graduation, they go back to the village. There is no job. The people you left in the village bragging how you are going to the university and you'll come back to change the village. You left home to change home. Then after graduation, there's no job out here. You are told you have jobs abroad. When you go back to the village, you become a laughing stock now at the market center. What does it rent? tends to drinking your problems out. You cannot stay sober and see the content that comes from the people you left while you went to upgrade your financial status, only to end up, Thank you.
All right. Yes. Hand over to the gentleman there. I'll come back to this side.
Yes, my name is Peter Njenga, a student leader from JKUAT. And for me, I'll echo the two words that my colleague has said. One of the problems we have in this country is not regulation to alcohol and drug substance abuse. It's not the whole answer. The whole answer is how do we curb underage drinking, illicit brew sale, and also to hold the manufacturers accountable. That is the question we are supposed to be discussing. And first of all, I have to say that I've been sent here by my constituent members from JKUAT. Most of them are content creators, artists, and if I don't say this, I'll end up being impeached. So the question is, according to the ban of the adverts to the content creators they're using through the brand partnership of the alcohol. Yes, that is the very source of livelihood and the income to every content creators, influencers, and artists in this country. One of the things that NACADA did not do is to include them in the policy proposal making. And that is one of the things why we saw a backlash last week to all the media platforms. Those are my two sentiments. Thank you.
Just before I finish this sequence, do we have a recovering alcoholic in the house that I can give one moment? Yes, please. Please give the lady the microphone at the back.
Recovering or recovered?
Thank you very much. My name is Bernadette. I am a psychologist, Bernadette Nashelo, working with a CBO in Gashie area. When you ask the question, do we have a problem, an alcohol problem in Kenya? Yes, we do. The CBO that we work for addresses alcohol use disorder and many other drug use in the village. One of those things, yes, and I've heard NACADA say that accessibility and availability is what they seek to curb. And I've also heard somebody from the government saying about the excise duty. Excise duty is only applicable to liquor that is actually licensed and it is in the mainstream. Liquor that we all know. But in the village where we work and where we help people in addiction, there is a lot of illicit brew. And this is what I'm talking about. In the evening when the sun is going down in the village where we work, immediately the women leave their houses and the people who brew just at the, by the byways and the corners, they set up shop. And they open, and liquor is as cheap as 15 shillings and 25 shillings. So it is up to anybody. And this liquor, all you need is just a shot. And you are drunk, and even in the morning when you come back and you want a shot, they will facilitate for you. So there is accessibility of the liquor. And even as the government passes this legislation, my biggest question is this: how are we going to curb the alcohol use disorder that is happening in the village? Accessibility is there, availability is there of the cheap liquor. And yes, it is not licensed, and yes, the government probably knows, but of course, law enforcement, we know how it goes. There is that gap. I mean, when the enforcers come, they get paid for the day, they go. What do they leave behind? They leave behind a mass of people who are into alcohol use disorder, and they're taking so much alcohol. And unfortunately, my experience is that we have lost a lot of young lives due to this alcohol, because they simply just sleep and die because of the alcohol use. So my question is this: how are we going to curb that which is happening down in the village, and how are we going to address this, even as we address the policy making in the national government? Are we going down to see what is really happening? The statistics in the ground might be different from what is in the mainstream. Thank you very much.
I have a web to ask the professionals, including the bartenders in the room. I'll start with you, Doc. There's something I think young people are saying that I think we're not listening to. There's a socioeconomic issue. There's a psychoaggression and a psychodisorder issue raising. It means we're looking at a population that doesn't know how to cope. And when they ask how then can we cope, we're saying more laws. Am I making sense? So the question that these young people are saying is, then what is the what else? Because I am stressed because of a good example. I'm stressed because I don't have economic sustainability like a job. I don't have access to whatever. So then how can it be solved? And when you're speaking to a government that has put up such high walls, I don't get an answer. Alcohol actually gives me a lot of couple of answers, right? Another thing I want to ask, they're habit connectors. We don't just drink. You drink and smoke and talk and laugh and literally evade yourself from something you're going through every day. And I'll give you a very good example. We have gender-based violence victims. We have kids coming from very domestic violence homes that the moment their friends call and they're like, you know, where is the plot? They're not running for the alcohol. They're running for a moment of peace. How do you solve that? Another thing, NACADA is saying there's an issue with addiction. Are there facilities for support? And if so, where are they? When CBOs are working to rehabilitation, are there enough rehabilitation centers? Are they cheap? The average session you might need for psychotherapy is so damn expensive, sorry for the words. There's lack of community. People don't have anywhere to belong. These are young people who can't belong anywhere. The one place you belong, you don't know somebody in a bar, but you meet there, that's your best friend for the night and probably for the rest of your life. NACADA, checkpoints that will be very genuine with you. Alcoblow is biased. Licensing is corrupted. Brews are poisoned, some of them, and you know that. Public participation for the research that you're talking about, these are all individuals who are saying there's an issue. Policies are important, but where was I involved as a drinker, if not? Drinking and driving has been there for the longest time. Thika Road Superhighway, we have people who drink and knock people and move. Have we seen NACADA saying we have arrested 1, 2, 3 people? Traditional brews, where do you separate tradition and culture from illicits? What happens to Moratina? What happens to palm wine? I mean, let's be honest. Those are cultures that have been there for generations. What is your take on that? Also, what about church wine? Because it's alcohol too. Are we telling the church to also say, don't give the wine to young? I mean, it's true, isn't it? Alcohol, it is. Lastly, do we have community conscious responsibility? Because like Sharon said, everybody is throwing the gun at everyone. But when do we tell the community, guys, there's a problem, how can we all together solve it? I am confused, and that is my web.
Get some responses. Okay, please bring the microphone to the front. I need my 3 experts to answer these questions, and then I will come back to the round. Doc, you're first. Accused.
Yeah, let me answer my problems. So number one, as I rightfully said, and everyone else has been saying, 85% of people are recreational drinkers. 85% of people who drink are recreational. 15%, 10 or 6% have a problem with alcohol use. That is to mean either they are waking up in the morning to take an eye opener, or they are having problems with drinking more than they had planned to drink, or they are having withdrawal symptoms including nausea, problems with sleep, problems with nightmares. And these people who are having these problems, most of them are using it to cope. So they're coping with psychological issues from childhood. So they are victims of violence at home, both sexual, physical, verbal. Just witnessing it itself is already a risk factor for them. Some of them, once they grow older, they are also victims of gender-based violence. When it comes to the social issues, these are people who are having problems with conflict resolution at home. So maybe their husbands are having trouble with resolving problems at home. Wives are having problems resolving problems at home, having problems with resolving problems at work. They are struggling with grief. They're losing their loved ones. They're having problems with adjusting to new things in life. Someone there said that he finished school, he went back home. He can't adjust to that reality that he finished school and there's nothing to do with it. And those are the people that we need to help completely. Because in that 15% of people who are struggling, it's most of them, more than 4 times of those people have an underlying issue. So 7% of people who drink don't have a mental health disorder. But 40% of people who drink have a mental health disorder. So why don't you help this 40%? This 7% also are a problem, that might need some form of rehabilitative process, that might need, and I think this is where the private sector where I work and the government as well need to come and work together and find a way and a solution to help them. It might be a residential program, it might be not necessarily a 90-day program, but find a way to come up with also people with lived experience and also platforms like these ones. The more we talk about these issues, the more we destigmatize them, because stigma is one of the biggest challenges that we face. But I'm happy to say that the government has done a very good job up to this point, because 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we wouldn't have these conversations, but now we are able to have these conversations because the government has done its part, media has done its part, the private sector have done their part, and I think we are going in the right place.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I think I have a lot of clarifications to make. First of all, at the onset, I didn't tell you, we went to 10 regions to do public participation. So, and we publicize our public participation. County governments were involved, Balita were involved, PERAC was involved, several stakeholders in this industry were involved.
He's just sitting next to you. He said he had no idea about you.
No problem. He has a reason.
It's a point of information. He will but continue.
He has a reason.
Yeah. He will respond after we finish.
But next time we might come with the data, because when we go to those public participation, we register people, and when we register, we have names. So we don't just we went and asked. Out of the 10 regions, 2 regions actually said they want the age to be raised to 25. That is Northeastern region, where the meeting was done in Garissa, and Mombasa.
What were the reasons?
Yes.
What were the reasons?
Because of I think the reason was cultural. It's the cultural, religious affiliation. So we did that, and all the region resoundingly proposed that we increase the age. And we presented to cabinet, and they agreed with us. 2, I like what she said about the enforcement. Enforcement is a collective responsibility. It's not the responsibility of NPS alone. It is my responsibility. It is the responsibility of the industry, and it's the responsibility of each and every individual. And that's the approach we want to take it now. So that if you suspect that this person who comes to your wines and spirit is underage, you have a right to ask for identification.
So we arrest them?
No. If you ask them to produce identification and they don't produce, you don't sell. But more often, we don't ask, so long as we are making profit. That's the problem. So let us have these discussions are very good. And the industry have a huge population from 21 years to 65 years, even to 90 years of people to sell. Why don't we just preserve our youths? So that, because they are the future generation. And he said 40%, and they are making profits.
It's the freedoms question, personal freedoms question, and I think it came up somewhere.
Yeah, and I'm going there.
Yes.
I'm going there. There was a lady, a lawyer in the house, who asked about, we are raising the legal age from 18. 18 you can marry, you can be a president, you can be anything else. I think, I'm not a lawyer, but under Article 24, there are provisions that will allow a minimum adjustment for specific aspects. But that one, we leave it to the lawyers. But we thought it through. It's not that we just came here and we thought it through. We thought the legal back and forth, everything. So what we are saying is the industry also need to train, not only training the bar on their clients. They should also train the community. But they're not trained because those are their customers. Okay. So we should have a responsibility around that. Our number 1192, I can tell you this number is very weird, because we get more calls on Friday and Saturday. We get more calls on Friday and Saturday. Why? From people who have maybe have issues with law enforcement, they call 1192. People who have drunk, they're going home, they call 1192. But we attend to them.
I think a question that's coming from people silence is from who? The calls. Is it from the sellers? Is it from people complaining?
Consumers, from consumers, the sellers, the people who are complaining, people want to report that I've reformed, I want to leave alcohol, where can I get? And we have a counseling department, by the way, where people need counseling, we can provide them counseling. And I think for you talked about rehabilitation facilities. Rehabilitation facilities, 90%, actually 99% of rehabilitation facilities in Kenya are private owned. You only have one in NACADA at Miritini Model Treatment Center, where we provide, actually is the cheapest, because for ladies we provide free rehabilitation services. For men, they pay for a period of three months, they pay about 50,000 for 3 months. Ask the private sector.
Who's earning 50,000?
No.
Easily and can access one.
That's a period of 3 months.
Can Shah pay?
Yes.
Shah, by the way.
Yes. Shah, we have an agreement. Yes, Shah pays. Yes.
Okay. Finalize, please. There are many questions. Yes.
So actually, there was an issue of underage drinking. You know, issues of access and availability is we are targeting underage drinkers. Yes, we are not targeting the people who are old enough to drink. And in any case, alcohol is illegal, it's not illegal. Apart from the 60% of the illicit alcohol, which is the Euromonitor, which is the industry is doing, the industry generated research.
Okay. All right.
So if we can do a research with them, the better. Right. For content creator, for rehabilitation also again, there was a question of access. When we did the primary and the secondary, the first point of contact of alcohol is home, is your home. And the kids were very candid. And even the teachers were complaining that you tell a kid, don't drink, and the kids were saying, my father is rich, my mother is rich, and he drinks, what are you telling? So we need a paradigm shift in our thinking.
Okay.
It's not a blame game. It's not that it's an industry issue. It's not a government issue.
Yeah.
We need a whole society approach to all these issues.
All right.
And for the industry, we are saying we are balancing the economic gains vis-a-vis the public health.
Okay.
Yes.
He's been disagreeing with you the entire time, so please, I have to give him the right of reply.
No, I actually am not disagreeing with him. I think a lot of what he said, we as an industry, we also concur with. And I think we cannot downplay the effects of misuse of alcohol. I think we can't, as an industry, as a responsible industry. But I think, and to clarify, we were not invited for the stakeholder sessions.
You don't disagree, but you just want to clarify.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, we were invited for the launch, which we attended. So we respond to invitations. I think the other issue I wanted to bring out is that consultation. I think even as we come up with a policy, there was need to consult all these people who are going to be impacted. And that's why I started asking the issue of, have we checked the impact of these to the sectors that it's going to affect? You've heard the gentleman from JECWA talking about content creators. You've not asked them, what can we do in this space? You have an issue of banning sports sponsorship. We have companies that are sponsoring teams. We have Tusker FC. So what happens to the players? What happens to the whole supply chain that is involved in that? There are over 50 people working for Tusker FC.
Can be Nameless FC.
Yeah, so who is going to support it? Because the issue that the company that is supporting Tusker FC is doing is to bridge a gap. Yeah. There's a gap in sponsorship of sports. We cannot hide away from that.
Maybe you can answer just on that question. Who would support Tusker FC, for instance?
You know, we didn't ban sponsorship of any company.
What did you do?
The policy proposed, and it came out that you cannot name a team by the brand of the alcohol you're selling.
Okay, so
call it
Tusker?
Yes, call it EABL, no problem.
Or we call it EABL FC?
FC, yes.
Don't call it the booze.
But not the brand of the...
All right.
Yes.
That's clarified. No, please.
I think if you read the text of that policy, it actually speaks to sponsorship, because you have players who work for that organization. You have sponsored Olympics, for example. You have athletes. You have teams. You have Tusker Safari Sevens. So what happens to those programs? Right now, no one is sponsoring them, so someone has to chip in and do it. And there's no point where the company says, drink more. You have the UEFA Champions League, sponsored by Heineken. No one says you can sponsor that, but this proposal is going to do that. You have talked about delivery of alcohol through e-commerce. The biggest contributors to that sector are border borders. These are the guys who are going to be out of jobs. How are you going to address that issue when they lose those jobs? I think there is an issue of supermarkets, which I raised earlier. They have to close shop. They will not be able to sell alcohol. What happens to the people who work in those shops that sell alcohol within supermarkets? So there's a whole unintended consequence that if this policy was to be implemented to the letter, is going to impact. And I think those are the conversations that we want to bring to the table, because we don't think the same government that's trying to create jobs for these youth who are agitating that there are no opportunities. They are running to alcohol because they have nothing to do. We are trying to give them opportunities through creating jobs for them, through creating e-commerce, content creation, which is even being broadcasted elsewhere, because they're not just creating content for Kenya, they're doing content creation for in other jurisdictions as well. So there are unintended consequences, especially impacting jobs, that should be evaluated. And I think enforcement, and I agree with him, there's a whole of government approach also, which His Excellency has been talking about. You have issues where prosecution, someone is arrested today, tomorrow they're back in the business. What is happening? You should be able to call them out and seize assets for those people who have been doing this illicit business and continue doing it continuously without any repercussions coming on them. And I think there's a big piece of sensitization. And I want to say, like, this forum, I think it's one of those forums that can help us in creating sensitization to those consumers who might be consuming illicit, and also how to deal with the issues of underage, which is an issue that we also have to tackle.
All right.
Yeah.
So, friends, I need to leave. But due to public demand, I'll have this lady, please. She has a microphone ready, and she looks like she's going to close this debate for us. I will come. Please, what's your name, and what is this burning thing that we can't live without hearing?
Okay, my name is Daphne, and I'm a student at Daystar University. There's one major thing that a lot of my friends here have mentioned, and we've talked about how the NACADA official has mentioned that it's not about banning all these things about liquor and everything. He's talked about the underage, how to prevent it from reaching the underage. And a lot of them, we talked about mental health issues. Madam Zara mentioned something on how to deal with it, and he asked Daktari Pale, a lot of therapy is expensive. All therapy is expensive. Is there a way the government can come up with, let's say, a website or something that the general youth can access, and the general public as well can access, and have services that can help them deal with things instead of going out drinking? Because I can come tell my friend, twende tushike mzinga instead of kutoa stress, and I can, because I can't afford therapy, and we go, we drink, we talk, because I can't deal with that issue. So I would like Daktari to tell us what he would do in that situation. How is there cheap therapy? Is there something we can do? And also the NACADA official to tell us, is there a way you can create something that can help them, or are you just making more regulations that will not be followed?
All right.
Thank you.
Well, as it always happens, when I'm just about to leave, everyone raises their hands. If you have a minute. Yes.
Hello, my name is Boniface Mlinge. I'm a filmmaker. I'm currently doing a documentary in Gashie, an area which is highly affected with alcoholism. And I got a chance to interact with one chief, whom I'd like to quote what he said.
With one?
Area chief. We chiefs, we do not get the much needed support in combating this demon. One moment you arrest someone, the next day the courts release him with a cash bail as low as 3,000 Kenyan shillings, terming his or her offense as a petty crime. End of quote. I would like to ask, what happens?
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Chege.
I guess you're doing this.
Yeah. I'm an actuarial student. Actually, and my insight is we are looking at a problem that we cannot ignore. Life expectancy in Kenya is about the age of 65 down to the age of 59. From an actuarial standpoint, we can look and say the youths are the most affected, seeing that ages from 25 to around 45 are the ones that are hugely exposed to the drinking problem. It goes back to us as the youths to see that this is not more of a moral, of a development issue, enforcement issue, but it's also a moral issue on us, which is also making us to weigh a load or a burden to the government on the issue of public health, because from an actuarial perspective, we see that when life expectancy is low, it will lead to the government having a low labor force in the country.
What's the moral issue?
Little labor force in the country, that is. So it's a back and forth problem where the government must keep us in check, and us we have to keep the government in check, because we are weighing a load of public health to the government in treating liver issues and other problems that are associated with alcohol. But again, the government in enforcing the issue, it must operate on a humane way where it doesn't create walls that cannot be jumped by the youth.
You lost me for a second.
Of Health for?
Yeah, you lost me for a second.
Sorry?
You lost me. From an actual science point of view, what is the moral issue?
The moral issue, okay, get me right. To the government, we are weighing a load that is developmental.
Right.
But on the government side, the government is viewing us from the lens of a moral problem, that it's the youth who have a moral issue. You see?
I see.
But again, much as we have a moral issue, it's a moral issue that is emanating from the society that we are living in and can be addressed in a more humane way by the government by creating safe spaces for the youths to address their issues. For example, myself, not many will be able to say they have ever drank, smoked, or something. I personally have. With my own reasons, as everybody suggested here, peer pressure, lack of job, or that. But again, coming back to myself, I have to ask myself, put myself on the scope and ask myself, where am I really doing this? I have to look deep within. Much as I have to blame the government for availing the pombe or that, pia mimi binafsi lazima nijue shida inatoka wapi, ili hata wakati naenda kutibiwa na serikali ama whoever is responsible, nitibue shida ninayojua pia.
Okay, that has to be the last. Sure. Please. She's the absolute last word. Yes, please.
Okay, good evening. I'm Natasha, student leader at the University of Nairobi. So I have a question. Now that NACADA is enacting the restrictions on the alcohol use, we already have addicts in the country. What are you going to do with those addicts now that... Yeah?
We'll take one for the team.
I'll ask that. So we have a lot of addicts in the country. How are you going to ensure that these addicts get access to the rehab centers? And yet the rehab centers are very expensive. A normal Mananchi cannot be able to access those services. How are they going to cope? Because they'll not be able to access alcohol. So are they also now going to look for the illicit brews that you're trying to discourage them from using? And from the crowd, they're asking if you can cite the place where the article in the Constitution where that comes from.
What exactly comes from?
I just had two questions to the NACADA official.
And I'll take one.
Okay, fine. I wanted him to give us, he cited Article 24 of the Constitution. Right. I have the Constitution.
Yes.
We are used to people just stating things from the cloud and telling us it's in the Constitution. So here, sir, here's the Constitution. Kindly point it out to us.
Mr.
Where
Lele.
did it come from? And finally, which criteria did you use to discriminate that ladies can get services for free and gents have to pay 50,000?
Okay. Please hand him the Constitution.
Yeah.
There. You have the exact citation.
I think I said very clearly, there are provisions in Article 24 that allows...
Article?
Yes. No, I'm just saying Article 24. No.
Okay, wait.
No.
Where in the Constitution? Article 24?
Next time, we come our legal officer if you want us to go legal.
Yes.
Two.
Okay.
Two.
Okay, please.
Two, it was on public demand that ladies had a challenge in the area of Miritini. Okay. So it was not an issue of discrimination issue. And we are very sorry about that if it comes out as a discrimination. Give me just 2 points. Licensing was...
In a minute or less.
Yes, licensing was devolved to the county government. So licensing of liquor selling outlets is the function of the county government. But we have now an understanding that we can work with them to assist them on issues of density.
Okay.
And actually the issues of density.
All right.
In the policy again, this policy we just pick an issue only. This policy have about an array of issues. Prevention, taxation, all the way.
And the next point?
The next point is let's support this policy because it's going to save us revenue in terms of public health cost and even increase the revenue for the industry. Thank you.
All right. Latif?
So the question tonight is on whether regulation will solve the problem. We've established that there's a problem. We've established that there's a policy. We've established that there's laws in place, right? The NACADA, the Mutuzo law, and so on and so forth. And then there's enforcement, that we've seen it. Chiefs going around the country, arresting people, beating them up, pouring drums of booze, closing bars and all. I'm just gonna give you a quick one. This administration, December 2022, they announced a countrywide enforcement campaign targeting illicit brews and counterfeit alcohol. February 2023, a multi-county raids and destruction of illicit brews. Mid-2023, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki rolled out sweeping enforcement directives, saying all licenses for second-generation alcohol distillers were suspended for review. Then, new rules mandating quality control labs, traceability systems, denaturing of industrial ethanol, geolocation tracking of licensed premises, and so on and so forth. Enforcement. This is mid-2023. Then what happened? Early 2024, February, at a place called Kangai, Kiamashiri, in Kirinyaga County, 17 people died after consuming poisonous brew. Then, the then Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, declared total war on illicit brew. And what did the government do? They embarked on another series. 25 stringent directives were launched in March. In March to June, there was a nationwide enforcement campaign. In March, reintroduction plan for low-priced legal beer, and so on and so forth. So we've seen regulation is there. We've seen enforcement sporadic. A lot of money is spent, like this one of 2024. Serious, hundreds of millions were spent on this. Bars were closed. Brewers were told to reapply afresh for licenses, and so on and so forth. Has it moved the needle? It has not. So, is regulation really solving the issue?
Good question. We can go to the last word. We've really canvassed this issue widely and in depth. And the question being, are the NACADA restrictions the answer, a solution to Kenya's alcohol problem? And we first began by identifying that truly there is a problem. There is a problem of addiction, that 42.4% currently of the users of alcohol in Kenya are addicted, not just using it recreatively, addicted and dependent. There is a problem of access to alcohol and substances by minors, that by the survey done by NACADA in 2022, 153,846 children under the age of, or between the ages of 15 and 24 years, these are youth, addicted to alcohol, not just using, addicted to alcohol. So a clear picture of the problem that we are dealing with. And in this conversation, we've also talked about why this is a problem, the underlying issues, underlying drivers to addiction, to access to substance and alcohol abuse, including poverty, youth unemployment, poor mental health support. We've had Dr. Joseph here also expanding our understanding on these underlying issues to include childhood trauma and psychological issues. So these are key drivers of the problem. What has been the response by the government, particularly the arm that is NACADA's contribution? There is the issue of licensing, controlling the times of sale of alcohol, ban on sale in the proximity to sensitive areas like schools and religious places, and also reducing exposure to underage drinking. So are these going to solve the problem of alcohol in the country? We've also discussed about the economic impact of these regulations and why it's important to have a look at that as well. And the last word is that the NACADA restrictions are crucial and a step in the right direction. It is a response to the problem that we are facing as a country. But at the same time, that is not enough. It does not go deep to look at the underlying issues. It's a band-aid kind of a solution. And so, that these regulations, this intent, must be supported by broader social and economic, as well as enforcement. We've had laws, we've had regulations that have at the heart of it regulations of this problem. Focus on enforcement, and that we have to have a holistic approach to the alcohol problem in Kenya. That's the last word. My name is Sharon Momanyi. Zaha Indimuli to the extreme right, James Smart, Eric Latif. Thank you so much for your contributions. Of course, this does not end here. This is a very, very crucial conversation. Let's have it continuing on our multimedia platforms, on our social media platforms. NTV Kenya is the handle across all our platforms. Let's have that conversation there and move this forward. Thank you for watching The Last Word. Have a good night.